All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, you know what time it is. It's the time for the big fight. We got it coming up in a couple hours between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. And so this is the video where I will do and tell you exactly what I think is going to happen in the fight. And I'm going to tell you now, I've got Errol Spence, Errol Spence winning a decision against Terence Crawford, and in my strength of opinion about the fight is about 52-48. And I will tell you also how I think Errol Spence Jr. can win the fight. I also will tell you what I think Terence Crawford needs to do to win the fight. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be talking about the big fight that goes on tonight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, and tell you what we think is going to take place in the fight. Now, if you are new to the channel, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like the content, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber or new subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your continued support. We're here. All right. Look, gotta say thank you to the sponsor of this video, Boxing Showtime's app. And I want to introduce you to this really great app for hardcore boxing fans that want to know everything that's going on in boxing. It's a very accessible app right in your hands that you are able to see all of the upcoming fights that are around your neighborhood, the ones that are going on at bars near you, boxing updates, boxing news, boxing profiles, tales of the tape, boxing tickets, official highlights, official replays. You got a dark mode if that's how you like to look at your screen, a bar locator, everything that you need to be to allow you the most access possible and information possible for the sport that we love. Also, there's a promotional code that you can use, Fanon that will allow you to have access to the premium features of the app, as well as a 14-day trial for the premium features of that app. Very inexpensive monthly fee. So make sure you guys go check that out. It does support the channel. Thank you. All right. So we've got Errol Spence Jr., who is the 3-belt holder, the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF. And you have Terence Bud Crawford, who is the WBO champion. Terence Crawford, I think, is the betting favorite. The last time I looked at DraftKings, I think Terence Crawford was maybe minus 150, and Errol was plus 120. Something like that. So according to Vegas or DraftKings at the very least, and pretty much every other book that I see, the odds with Las Vegas are very, very close. Now, why is that? That is probably because people have more of a history seeing Terence Crawford win championship fights, and he's been doing it for a very long time. He's 39-0. He's on a 10 streak knockout run. He's knocked out every guy that has been at welterweight, right? So he's a perennial pound for pound #1 fighter. He's literally listed above Errol Spence Jr. on every pound for pound list. So he's very intelligent, very adaptable fighter, right? Can do a lot of things in the ring. And so people edge Terence Crawford to win the fight for those reasons. Now, there's also a reason, though, that Terence Crawford is not a huge favorite, that he is a narrow favorite by the books. And also, if you listen to the boxing commentators that are out there, trainers and professional fighters that are picking fights, right? Now, when you listen to those guys, I think you got to really separate and take some things that people say who are who are boxers. You got to take certain things that boxers say. You got to take it with a grain of salt, because boxers a lot of times will tell you who they want to win and not who they think will win. So if you're listening to something like Keyshawn Davis or Shakur Stevenson or Gervonta Davis or Jermell Charlo, I would say, man, take what they say with a grain of salt, because that's their guys and they're going to ride with their guy. That's just what they're going to do. If you're listening to Bob Arum, I would say, look, take what Bob Arum has to say with a grain of salt, because Bob Arum used to promote Terence Crawford, knows Terence Crawford very well, and has a relationship with Terence. And it's still, people say, well, he's not with Top Rank anymore. So why would he say what he said? It still makes Top Rank look good if Terence Crawford beats a PBC guy who is his main competition. So not saying that these people can't be right. I'm just saying you got to take what they say with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? But the general tenor is that most people are out there saying like, hey man, this is a close fight, right? Could go either way. Now, for me, I think like this. I am not going to go with or predict the exceptional when you have really two very equally matched fighters together. I'm going to go with the person that is going to be able to score the most points in the boxing ring. For me, that's what it comes down to. Errol Spence Jr. is the guy that has almost twice the punch output that Terence Crawford does. When you have twice the punch output, you get hit more. You get hit more, which is why I think a lot of people say, oh, I see Errol getting hit with this. I see Errol getting hit with that. He gets hit with this and he gets hit with that because he is hitting people with this and hitting people with that. And he's getting on the inside and he's fighting in a space where you're going to get hit. When almost any two fighters are in the inside with one another, those guys are going to get hit. So if Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. are shoulder to shoulder and they're banging away on the inside and Errol's able to get in there and make him do that, you're going to see Terence Crawford hit Errol, but you're also going to see Errol hit a lot of Terence. But it's not going to be at mid-range, so the likelihood, if that takes place, of Terence Crawford hitting him with a really big shot on the inside and dropping him is a lot less, because he doesn't have the full ability and range, to step into his punch, to turn into his punch. You're right there. So obviously what Terence Crawford is going to have to do is Terence is going to have to try to keep him at mid-range. He's going to have to keep him out of range. He's going to have to stay out of range, slightly in range, or long range, or in mid-range. He's going to have to stay in there in order to get the shots and in order to see Errol's shots and be able to move out of it and be able to counter that, right? So the thing with Errol, for me though, is that particular fight. On the inside, I think the advantage is very, very much Errol. On that mid-range, I don't know what the advantage is. I think the advantage is almost equal on the mid-range, because Errol Spence Jr. has a very, very good jab. He's also a very good boxer. And one of the things I think people really underestimate about Errol Spence Jr., because they're so focused on the brutality going on there, is that they overlook the fact that through periods of times in the fights and during several fights where I don't think he was in the best shape going into the fight, like a Danny Garcia, who's one of the best counterpunchers in boxing, that Errol just sat at mid-range and jabbed, slipped, and countered at mid-range. And he didn't make it a real heavy impact, push on getting onto the inside of him. He just made a real point of scoring point after point after point after point and strictly making it a boxing match. And I think what you may find is if Errol Spence Jr. chooses to, Errol might be able to show you some things on the back foot that you don't think Errol Spence Jr. has. So for me, it is the fact that if Errol does not want to engage on the inside, he has the option to stay at range, throw jabs, and play that more scientific game with Terence, which may wind up, for those periods that he does it, making it a bit of a stalemate at that time. But the punch volume and coming in on the inside, he can score more points. So while people talk about the adjustments that Terence Crawford makes, Errol has a lot of options in his initial game plan. So for me, I think that the safest bet for me, the safest prediction for me, is the guy that can score the most points. And if he's in a situation where he wants to just sit back, throw jabs, move, take steps back, move left, move right, make the other guy come in, Errol Spence Jr. has the ability to do that as well, which is very, very underestimated part of his boxing ability, because he, with his own preference, really doesn't want to do that. What he really wants to do is he wants to go and not put it in the judges' scorecards. He wants to wear your body down, break your body down, and then eventually make you feel like you want to quit. And that is a very, very savage way to fight. That's a very, very savage mentality to have. However, it's not the only thing that he can do. And he's shown that in the Mikey Garcia fight. He's shown that in the Danny Garcia fight. And he also showed it getting up to the quarterfinals in the Olympics, where you do not get there if you and win all those national champions as an amateur, if you don't have the ability to box, if you don't have the ability to hit and not be hit. So that's why I say I lean towards Errol Spence Jr. by a decision. The route for Terence Crawford is that Terence Crawford is going to need to be able to keep Errol Spence Jr. at mid-range or catch him on the inside and wind up hitting him with big shots that can drop him or hurt him, drop him, really discourage him from being able to go on the inside. I don't think an option for him really is to move and float around on the outside, shift side to side, and then look for opportunities for Errol to to drop his guard or get flat-footed and you be able to jump in there and boom and hit you. Terence Crawford at this age, I don't know if he has that. He has that, and this weight, not only this age, but this weight class, whether or not he has that type of mobility that he displayed against Victor Postol. But even with the mobility that he has with Victor Postol, he also has to deal with a guy that is very, very expert at cutting off the ring, something Victor Postol is not, and quite honestly, something that nobody that Terence Crawford has ever fought has really been able to do to anybody that they fought, let alone be able to keep Terence Crawford or at the space that he wants him to be at when Terence moves back to be able to close the gap left, right, front, and back in that direction. So Terence Crawford definitely has routes to beat him, but I think it's going to have to be really that he catches Errol Spence with something very heavy and causes him real problems. Otherwise, I think I got Errol Spence Jr. winning decision, and that is, I think, the best analysis of the fight that I can do with no bias towards one guy or another guy, despite what you may or may not, the fact that you may or may not agree with me. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.